President. Mr. President.
Senator from Alaska.
Thank you. The matter pending before the Senate this morning is the nomination of Rick Perry to be Secretary of Energy, and I have come to the floor this morning to speak to that nomination. As with Representative Zinke, who we confirmed to be Secretary of the Interior just yesterday, I am equally proud to support Governor Perry's nomination. And I know that colleagues from both sides of the aisle will be joining me as we make a statement in support of this individual to our new president's cabinet. A little bit on Governor Perry's background. He is one who has devoted his life, literally decades of his life, to public service. After graduating from Texas A&M, he joined the U.S. Air Force. He piloted C-130 tactical airlift aircraft in Europe as well as the Middle East. He's served as a state representative, as agriculture commissioner, lieutenant governor, and of course, governor of Texas. And during his time as governor, Rick Perry showed that economic growth and environmental stewardship can not only survive and coexist, but they can really thrive. Over the course of 14 years, Texas added 2.2 million jobs, saw its population grow by more than 6 million people, and at the same time that you have this robust growth within your state's population, the state reduced its carbon dioxide emissions by 17%. Reduced its sulfur dioxide emissions by 56%, and reduced their nitrous oxide emissions by 66%. So in most states where you have a considerable plus up in your population, a growing economy, you also see growing levels of impact, growing levels of emission, but Governor Perry dealt with this head on, and we saw the results over the course of 14 years in the state of Texas. He led an effort to decommission older and dirtier power plants. He prioritized the development of emerging and innovative technologies, including carbon sequestration and capture. And as a result of his leadership there in the state of Texas, that state now leads our nation in producing more wind energy than all but 5 other countries. So think about it that way. Coming from the state of Alaska, as you and I do, Mr. President, we recognize that you're kind of labeled. We're labeled as an oil state. Well, Texas certainly has been labeled as an oil-producing state. But again, under Governor Perry's leadership, we have seen Texas lead the nation in producing more wind energy than all but 5 other countries. So that's something to keep in mind for those who may come to the floor here and suggest that somehow or other Governor Perry is somehow anti-environment or bring up the issue of climate change and suggest that he doesn't support care for our environment. That is simply not the case. And clearly, in his case, the actions speak louder than words. As Texas' longest-serving governor, Rick Perry guided a large, a diverse, and a very complex state government to economic success. Again, when we're talking about states, Alaska's always out there bragging about our size, but if Texas were its own country, it would be the 12th largest economy in the world. So it's one thing to talk about size just by way of your geography, but I think it's important when we're talking economic contribution, the size of Texas as the 12th largest economy in the world is pretty significant. And what happened in the state of Texas? Not only did the people of Texas give their endorsement to Governor Perry to ask him to serve again as governor, they gave him his endorsement for his work by re-electing him to office not once but twice, 14 years. Governor Perry is a principal leader, and that will serve him well as he takes the helm at the Department of Energy. DOE is a very important mission, ranging from the maintenance of our nuclear weapons stockpile to the research and the development of new energy technologies. But it's also a department, a bureaucracy that I think we recognize. It's large, it's cumbersome, tens of thousands of employees and contractors. And I think that the example that Governor Perry showed as the state leader of Texas is an example that will do well at the Department of Energy, capable of really setting a good direction for the department. Now, it's been suggested that, well, he's not one of them in the sense that he's not an award-winning scientist. But as I mentioned at his hearing before the Energy and Commerce Committee, you don't necessarily need to have a scientist in order to lead scientists. You need to have somebody who is a good, strong, competent, and capable manager. And that's what Governor Perry has demonstrated, and really that's what the Department of Energy needs. He will hold his employees and contractors accountable. We know that he will be a responsible steward of taxpayer dollars. I think that he will work to continue to break down the research silos that have really frustrated the department and work to find ways that there can be greater collaboration, greater working together. And I'm also confident that he will pursue policies that will ultimately provide us with more energy, more stable sources of energy. For us, where unfortunately we've got great sources of energy, but it's high cost. We need to be working with the Department of Energy. We need collaboration there to do what we can to reduce the cost of energy as well as reduce the amount of energy that we consume. And by supporting basic research, encouraging scientific exploration, and fostering innovation, the department will increase access to energy, make it more affordable, and continue to improve its environmental performance. We have 17 national labs. We're very proud of them. And these national labs are really at the heart of those efforts. So I've had good conversations with Governor Perry. He reaffirmed in our committee hearing, he clearly recognizes and values the work done by the men and women in our national labs. Now, one area that we do not cover within our Committee on the Energy and Natural Resources but is a big part of DOE's mission is the maintenance and the protection of America's nuclear weapons. Governor Perry recognizes the importance of that mission, and he is committed to working with the experts at the NNSA to maintain a proper stockpile stewardship program. I believe that Governor Perry will also put his management experience to work on a challenge that has really vexed the department and affected states for a long period of time now. He recognizes that we must clean up the legacy wastes that have been left behind by our nuclear weapons programs, particularly at the largest of these sites in Washington State. My hope is that through his leadership, the Office of Environmental Management can finally move off of GAO's high-risk list. So these conversations have been had, I know, with many members on the committee. It has been pressed as a priority, but again, ensuring that we deal with these legacy waste sites has got to be a priority. And then, again, I will reiterate, my hope is that Governor Perry will help address the crisis of rural energy prices in Alaska, as well as in other parts of the country where, unfortunately, we just face high energy costs. The department must do a better job of partnering with institutions. In our state of Alaska, we have the opportunity to be working with DOE collaboratively. We've been kind of the incubators of good ideas, whether it's in microgrids, energy microgrids, or in some of the other pioneering ways where we have done it because of necessity, because we have no other options. look to our institutions to find these good ideas, build on them, and work to bring down the cost and transition our many, many remote communities that are still relying on diesel power. To know that far too many of our communities are still dependent on diesel is just not right. So, working with Alaska, allow us, again, to be that proving ground for the Department of Energy, allowing us to be that place where we can first deploy some of these new ideas, these innovative ideas, these projects that can help lower the costs and really make a difference in people's lives. So again, Mr. President, I'm proud to be here to support Governor Perry's nomination. I believe that he has the management experience that we need in the Department of Energy right now to help pursue scientific discovery, to promote innovation, to maintain and safeguard our nuclear weapons stockpile, to make progress on the cleanup of legacy wastes, and to partner with states like Alaska that suffer from high energy costs. I think we recognize that he has his work cut out for him, but we're counting on him to fulfill those responsibilities and really to keep the Department of Energy as really one that not only here in the United States we look to for true leadership, but around the world. Mr. President, Governor Rick Perry has a strong record of results based on his public service in the state of Texas. He's a proven leader, and I'm confident that he will do a good job for us leading the Department of Energy in this new administration. So I will be supporting his nomination, and I would certainly urge my colleagues to do the same. With that, Mr. President, I note the absence of a quorum.